Today we will be studying the gross anatomical features of the rectum. Now a rectum is basically the fourth part of the large intestine. It is the lower dilated part of the large intestine. The word rectum means straight, but that is a misnomer here in human beings because it is not straight in human beings, it's straight only in quadrupeds. Now, even though rectum is a part of the large intestine, it is devoid of the three cardinal features of the large intestine. That is, it does not show presence of Taenia coli, circulations and appendices epiploicae, and neither does it have a mesentery or a mesocolon. Now, what we see here are specimens of the rectum. This here shows us the posterior pelvic wall with the presence of the rectum along with the peritoneum covering it. And here we see the specimen of the rectum and the anal canal. And here we see the features of interior of the rectum. Now, what is the course of the rectum? The rectum begins as continuation of the sigmoid colon in front of the third sacral vertebra, passes downwards anterior to the sacrococcygeal curve and slightly below the tip of the coccyx. It abruptly turns downwards and backwards and is continuous with the anal canal. The upper one-third of the rectum is directed downwards and backwards. The middle one-third is directed vertically downwards and the lower one-third downwards and forwards. What are the measurements of the rectum? The length of the rectum is about 12 centimeters while its breadth is about 4 centimeters in the upper part, while in the lower part it shows a dilatation which is called as the ampulla of the rectum. Now let us see the curvatures of the rectum. The rectum shows two types of curvatures: anteroposterior curvatures and lateral curvatures. The anteroposterior curvatures are two in number. The first or the upper one is the sacral curvature, which is seen in the upper part and is convex posteriorly in cognition with the corresponding concavity of the sacrum. The second anteroposterior curvature is called as the perineal curve, which is convex forwards at the anorectal junction, and this is due to the puborectal sling of the levator ani muscle. The lateral curvatures are three in number, two being convex towards the right side and one is convex towards the left. The upper lateral curvature is seen at the junction of the third and the fourth sacral vertebra. The middle lateral curvature is seen at the sacrococcygeal junction, while the lower lateral curvature is seen at the tip of the coccyx. These lateral curvatures are rudimentary saculations. Along these concavities, horizontal rectal valves project into the interior of the rectum and they support the weight of the fecal matter. Now let us see the relations of the rectum. Peritoneal relations. The posterior surface of the rectum is entirely non-peritoneal and is not covered by peritoneum, while the anterior surface is covered by peritoneum in the upper two-thirds. In the upper one-third, the peritoneum covers the anterior surface and on both the sides, while the middle one-third, peritoneum covers only the anterior surface of the rectum. From here, when you trace the peritoneum anteriorly, in males it goes on to the urinary bladder, thus forming the rectovesical pouch, while in females it goes on to the uterus, giving rise to the recto-uterine pouch of Douglas. And while we trace it laterally, the peritoneum is reflected from the upper two-thirds of the rectum to the lateral pelvic wall, forming a pair of pararectal fossae. Now we go on to see the visceral relations. Anteriorly, the upper part or the peritoneal part of the rectum is related to the sigmoid colon and the coils of small intestine, while the lower or the non-peritoneal part on the anterior aspect in males is related to the base of urinary bladder, pair of seminal vesicles, ampulla of vas deferens and posterior surface of prostate gland, separated by the rectovesical fascia of Denonvilliers. In females, the lower part of the rectum or the rectal ampulla is separated from the middle half of the posterior vaginal wall by the rectovaginal fascia. Now we go on to see the posterior relations of the rectum. This is related to the lower three pieces of the sacrum, the coccyx, the anococcygeal raphe, ganglion impar, median sacral vessels, superior rectal artery and the fascia of Waldeyer, which is nothing but the thickening of the pelvic fascia. On each side of the midline, on the posterior aspect, the rectum is related to the piriformis muscle, coccygeus, levator ani of the left side, sympathetic trunk, lower part of sacral plexus, the pelvic splanchnic nerves, lower lateral sacral vessels and the lateral division of superior rectal artery. Laterally, the upper one-third of the rectum is related to the pararectal fossae containing the sigmoid colon and the small intestine. The middle one-third is related laterally to the pelvirectal space and the levator ani muscle along with the fat and the lateral ligaments of rectum which convey the middle rectal vessels. While the lower one-third on lateral aspects is related to the istiorectal fossae and their contents. Now we go on to see the features seen on the interior of the rectum. The interior of the rectum shows two types of mucosal folds, temporary folds and permanent folds. Temporary folds are longitudinal folds seen in the lower part of the rectum. These disappear when the organ is distended. Permanent folds are known as the Houston's valves and these are the horizontally directed mucosal folds. They are semilunar in shape and situated along the concavities of the lateral curves of the rectum. Each valve is formed by reduplication of the mucous membrane containing the submucous tissue and thickening of circular muscle of the rectum. These are 4 in number and they support the weight of the fecal matter. They also prevent passage of instruments from the anus unless carefully passed. And what we see here are the permanent horizontal folds seen on the interior of the rectum. Now we go on to see the arterial supply of the rectum. This is done predominantly by 5 arteries, an unpaired superior rectal artery, a pair of middle rectal arteries and a pair of inferior rectal arteries. The superior rectal artery is continuation of the inferior mesenteric artery, while the middle rectal arteries are branches from the anterior division of the internal iliac artery, and the inferior rectal artery is a branch of the internal pudendal artery. At times, the median sacral, inferior gluteal and internal pudendal arteries may also supply blood to the rectum. The venous drainage of the rectum is done by rectal veins which are arranged in the form of internal and external venous plexus. They drain into the superior rectal vein, that is from the upper part of the venous plexus, and that then drains into the inferior mesenteric vein which goes into the portal system. From the middle part of the plexus, the veins drain into the middle rectal vein which in turn drains into the internal iliac vein which is part of the systemic circulation. While from the lower part of the plexus, the veins drain into the inferior rectal vein which drains into the internal pudendal vein, again a part of the systemic circulation. The rectal veins thus are an important site of portosystemic anastomosis. Radicals of the superior rectal vein are devoid of valves and are surrounded by loose areolar tissue. Hence, they are more likely to distend during increased portal pressure. We now see the lymphatic drainage of the rectum. The lymphatics accompany the blood vessels. From the upper part, the lymphatics accompany the superior rectal artery and drain into the left common iliac lymph nodes. From the middle part, they accompany the middle rectal arteries and drain into the internal iliac group of lymph nodes. And from the lower part, they accompany the inferior rectal arteries and drain into the internal iliac group of lymph nodes. We now see the nerve supply of the rectum. It is done as sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic is from the superior hypogastric plexus carrying fibers from L1 and L2, while the parasympathetic is from the pelvic splanchnic nerves carrying fibers from S2, S3, S4. The sympathetic is vasomotor, stimulates the internal sphincter and inhibits the rectal musculature, while the parasympathetic is secretomotor to the glands, stimulates peristalsis and relaxes the sphincters. Finally, let us see that what are the important supports of the rectum. The rectum is kept in position by the puborectal sling of the levator ani muscle, which maintains the anorectal flexure, reflection of the pelvic fascia, facial sheet of Waldeyer and a pair of lateral ligaments of rectum, and the pelvirectal and ischiorectal pad of fat. Thus, we have seen the gross anatomical features of the rectum along with the relations, the blood supply, lymphatic drainage and nerve supply, and also the supports of the rectum, thus completing the gross anatomical features of rectum.